What kind of pen or brush is that? This is the Pentel Color Brush, and it's my favorite brush, and it's what binds me together with great artists such as Yoji Shinkawa of Metal Gear Solid fame and the late great Kim Jung Gi. In this video, I thought I'd show a bit of why I love this brush so much, and at the same time go through my almost 30-year history with this brush. This, yeah, 28-year love affair with this brush. And I'll start by using one of the features of this brush that I love the most, but that I didn't know when I started. And that is that you can overload it so that ink drips out. And that ink you can use to dab and get these magnificent shapes. And this is, I mean, if you're going to start drawing ink monsters and you don't want to buy a lot of expensive ink and you don't want to buy a lot of different brushes and try them out, you can do ink monsters with this Pentel Color Brush alone. Originally, my dream in life was becoming a comic book artist. So I studied comic book art as a kid. And part of that was inking. And very soon I found that I absolutely loved inking. But penciling was my main tool, because penciling is what you do as a comic book artist. You know, the penciler is the one that tells the story. The inker is just something extra. But I think this was in 1998, I was trying out I've always been trying out tools. I love trying out tools. And I went to my local art store and I found the Pentel Color Brush. And as soon as I found it, as soon as I started using it, it was just magnificent. And at this time, in addition to studying comics, I had also started to get a fascination with Chinese and Japanese ink art. So a lot of that stuff is done, or all of that stuff is done directly with ink without any sort of sketching first. So this was something I was aware of and I was trying out, and the tip of this brush is in the shape you often find on Chinese and Japanese calligraphy brushes, the smaller ones. And that has so many cool uses. So for instance, you can get these really thin, delicate lines, but you can also go really big and get these massive broken lines. And this has always been one of my favorite ways to use a brush, is to work with the broken lines. I don't know where that came from. I mean, maybe it came from comic book artists such as Mark Texeira and Jay Lee, probably something like that. And it's just lovely. And very soon after I had bought it, I figured out that I could take it with me outdoors sketching. And the first thing I did with them was to go sort of urban sketching, but do these small autobiographical comics directly with the brush, which was probably influenced by the Chinese and Japanese ink art, and also by hearing that Jean Giraud or Mobius did some of his surrealistic comics in that improvised directly within ink form. I should have turned off the sound on my phone, but it's never too late, so now it's off. Okay? Where were we? We were at the improvised comics. That was the first thing I did. And if I find some of them, I can overlay so you can get a look at how these looked. Okay? Now, this brush was also a link into my first sort of attempts at professionalism, because one of the summers after I had started using this, I made my living sitting around Bergen, drawing with this brush and selling the art to tourists. And I made hundreds and hundreds of pieces because I worked quickly, and I sold them for dirt cheap. But it was still enough that I could have food, I could go partying, and maybe, just maybe, that was what made me save up enough money to buy a PlayStation and Metal Gear Solid. And I was a gamer, and I had heard good things about Metal Gear Solid. It was considered a classic. This was probably it must have been in 1999, so a year after it launched. So it was supposed to be a great game. I was interested in that, but what made me fall in love and, invest in a PlayStation, which was expensive, was the cover art by Yoji Shinkawa. I just knew that underneath that had to be a great game. Now, I ended up selling that PlayStation quickly. I hated the graphics. I didn't understand the gameplay. The story was nonsense. This wasn't Half-Life. I mean, nothing compared to Half-Life. And what was this crap? I mean, good drawings, but crap game. So I sold it and bought a Dreamcast because, betting on the future, that's important. And then, a few years later, when Twin Snakes, the remake, came out on the Dreamcast, that was when I understood the Metal Gear Solid series. And by that time, I had, even though I didn't like the game, I had figured out how to. I had looked up more of Yoji Shinkawa's work, and I everywhere I could get it, I was looking at it and studying it, and somehow I figured out maybe this was, I found an internet interview with him, something like that. And research in those times, it wasn't as easy as it. You couldn't Google it, you could Yahoo it, you could ask Jeeves it. It was hard to find information, but somehow I managed to find information about what tool Yoji Shinkawa used, and I recognized it. It was the Pentel Color Brush. So that cemented my love for his art. We had something in common. And after Twin Snakes, I went back and I played Metal Gear Solid 2, and I played 3 and 4 and everything when it came out. And I'm a huge fan of the series and of Yoji Shinkawa's art. So I mended my ways. Still waiting for Half-Life 3, Episode 3. Okay. But around that time, I started also working professionally for my second time, not just for the summers, but properly professionally. I started working for magazines and comics, and I stopped using the Pentel Color Brush as much. It had been great for these kinds of urban sketches and for the autobiographical indie comics, but it wasn't really, I felt, it wasn't really up to snuff for a lot of the illustration and comic book work I got. And then I started working digitally. But I always kept at least one of these around because, when going on a trip or going anywhere or just to sketch, it was my favorite sketching tool. Again, it is this variety that you can get with it that is so amazing. And it's so easy. It's a difficult brush to use, but it's so easy to bring along. So I used it less and less, but when I started drawing concerts, that was totally by accident. I had enough money for buying tickets to Hole in the Sky, a festival, extreme metal festival in Bergen, and I wanted to see Rotten Christ and Urfaust, and I ended up. I bought some tickets, and then I found out I was too broke because professional artists, still broke all the time. And I ended up trying to sell them, but no one wanted to buy them. So I decided that if I have to go to a concert and I can't afford to go to the concert, maybe bring a sketchbook, because as a professional artist, I'll be wasting the money, sure, but I won't be wasting my time. I can do some sketches while I'm there, and maybe someone will buy me a beer. People buy beer for artists. So I brought along the Pentel Color Brush and a sketchbook and the first few lines of drawing Urfaust, which was the opening band. I just saw that, something about this brush looks like the music. And I was hooked. And after that, I've drawn, I mean, thousands of concert sketches. Almost every single one of them with the Pentel Color Brush. The only times I've not used this brush is when I've run out of ink. And once I did a sketch with a ballpoint pen, but it was only because I didn't have this brush. So this is the tool that allows me to go to concerts and draw. And it is because you can do things like overflowing it. You can hit it and make ink spatters. And you can even bring a water brush along. This is, I don't know if this is even a brand. Maybe I bought it at a dollar store. But it's a brush just filled with water. And if I can get some water out of it, maybe this was a cheap brush. Yeah. The ink here isn't water fast, so you can get these amazing grays with it as well. And again, the broken lines. I just love the broken lines. This isn't a Pentel Color Brush, but it's the same type of brush and it's the same type of line work, which is why I love it. Okay, so the Pentel Color Brush was, I should say, I'm not sponsored. Here is a word from today's sponsor, me. I am currently working on an online art course called Mastering Ink with Negative Space. And that will be a lot more comprehensive than what I can do in single YouTube videos. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, join the waiting list. There will be we will make it worth your while. Yeah, thank you. The link will be in the description or here or something. Now back to not being sponsored by Pentel. Pentel, sponsor me, goddammit! I don't know how many. It must be thousands of dollars used on these brushes and ink for them because I use so much ink and I abuse them so much. And for regular people, they can probably have one of these brushes like for years. But for me, I abuse them so much because I go to a different paper and I split the hairs and then I find the exact type of dry brushing or broken lines that I need for this part of something and for that part of something. And then I do all sorts of, I can show you one of my favorite techniques, which is I've done, developed recently. That is also to overflow it and then to get a few drops and then, ooh, almost messed up the whole thing. And then use the fist and go like, look how lovely, so organic, so cool. I don't need to draw on any ground here. I already have everything I need. Okay, so the metal concerts were the first thing that gave me, the comics gave me a tiny audience of my own. And then the metal concerts got me a bigger audience of my own. And finally, I joined TikTok and started doing the ink monsters. And that got me a huge audience. I mean, I have, it's insane. I have 500,000 on YouTube and I have 1 million on TikTok. Yeah, that's got very little to do with this brush, but it's one of the tools that I've used for that. Some of the ink monsters are done with this because it's the easiest, cheapest way to do it. And yeah, people, when I started doing these direct with ink monsters, which was a continuation of the direct with ink comics and the landscapes and the metal concert art, all relating back to this, people started commenting, "Ooh, this looks like Kim Jung Gi." And I had no idea who that was. But as soon as I discovered who it was and discovered his art, I saw that on some of the direct with ink work he did, these fantastic multi-figure, complicated scenes, he was using this brush. And the fun thing about Kim Jung Gi's work and Yoji Shinkawa's work and mine is, even though we have all used this brush in order to draw directly with ink, and we all have elements of Chinese and Japanese ink art, we all use this brush in completely different ways. Now, the way I use this brush is, it's more primitive, I'd say, than Kim Jung Gi and Yoji Shinkawa. Because Shinkawa's work is all about that elegance of line, which is magnificent, and Kim Jung Gi's work is all about how he shapes, how he's molding these 3D shapes. And Shinkawa, I guess, uses even more broken lines than me, but not so many of these my effects, my home developed effects, while Kim Jung Gi uses very few broken lines, a couple of times, but not much. And he more just uses this as a line tool. And both are really good ways of using it. And I guess that's the whole point. This is for in my opinion, one of the, if not the most versatile tools you can get. And if you have a Pentel Color Brush and some halfway decent paper, you have everything you need to sketch or draw masterpieces or draw whatever you want. You have it in the palm of your hand, in your pocket, ready to use. Nothing more. Just this brush. And if I were to, desert island choice, and I could just choose one tool, and I could get refills and paper for it by some magic means, it would be this exact brush for all the reasons I've stated here. So, in some sort of a homage, I guess, to the great Yoji Shinkawa, I have created my attempt at a ink kitsune, a fox, like the Fox engine. See? Thinking. And I don't want to overdo it. I don't need all the details here. I just need some more gray here, so you see the tip of the fox. Tails are white, and gray it out a little bit here. And I had hoped this video would take like 10 minutes to do a quick sketch and tell a little bit about the brush, but when I start talking, I start talking. So, does this look finished? Yeah. And I'll call him Kim the Kitsune, but not Kim after me, but after Kim Jung Gi. So, should I put I don't know if I can put a affiliate link. I don't think I have affiliate links. If I have, this will probably be in the description. Otherwise, I just, I absolutely love this brush. And I think that, yeah, if you are looking for one tool to go urban sketching, landscape sketching, or just to have around, then this is worth trying out. And if you fall in love with it, then you're in great company. Please do subscribe and like and comment and all of that stuff, because that's how we make a living in this strange world. And maybe I'll be back and answer some more questions soon.